The ultimate tournament of everything. Welcome to the ultimate tournament of everything, where we compare everything against everything else to find out which thing is the best thing of all things.
And of course, we do that by going to the grocery store, picking up 10 cheeses, leaving them out in the sun for an hour, and figuring out which one will make us sick the fastest. My bet is on the brie.
Well, I'm feeling a little bit, gutsy this week. Not so nice in the tummy. So I think we should just randomly draw Wikipedia articles in the very moment that we do so and face them off against one another. How about that?
What am I going to do with all this manchego?
I suggest fancy nachos. Rob, let's get in to round one.
In round one, we have Kim, the 30th episode of the MASH television series, against the 1996-1997 All-Ireland Senior Club Hurling Championship.
Wow, we've got a fantastic, memorable episode of MASH, and I suspect that if you eat too much MASH, you might end up hurling, just like all of the individuals at the 1996-97 All-Ireland Senior Club Hurling Championship. So let's learn which one of these will be the victor this evening.
So I have not watched a lot of MASH. I remember watching some MASH, but then I also have this vision of watching MASH in middle school, which I don't think could have possibly been correct because I think MASH probably ended before I was born, but who knows? The plot for this specific episode, among the wounded arriving at the hospital one day is a 5-year-old boy named Kim. The hospital staff believe him to be an orphan and conspire to keep him at camp for longer than necessary so they can care for him themselves. That's nice.
Now, I actually have watched a good deal of MASH, and as one who's done so, this episode is, of course, memorable to myself. There's a fantastic scene where one day, while Frank and Margaret are supposed to be watching Kim, the boy wanders off into a minefield. And then there's a helicopter-assisted rescue, which is ultimately successful. Now, Trapper, for all of our MASH friends, is the one who is especially taken with the child and hugs the boy after his rescue. This is a severely dramatic episode. I can see it very clearly, but so much of MASH was that way. But also, so much of the 1996-97 All-Ireland Senior Club Hurling Championship was memorable as well. So, Rob, let's dive right into the highlights.
Well, as we know, this was the 27th staging of the All-Ireland Senior Club Hurling Championship, the Gaelic Athletic Association's premier inter-county club hurling tournament. Now, hurling, what is hurling?
Hurling is what inevitably occurs after a long night in Ireland.
I think that's probably correct, but probably not in the way that they mean it. Hurling, I have no idea. I'm going to take this out to the Google machine. Maybe it's what happens after we eat all that cheese. Okay, I got it. Outdoor team game of ancient Gaelic Irish origin played by men. Okay, that's sort of helpful. It's one of their native Gaelic games. Shares a number of features with Gaelic football, such as field and goals. Okay, there's a stick involved, like lacrosse, I guess, sort of. Okay, you get a helmet. Okay. That's nice.
Field hockey, perhaps. What we know is that whatever they were doing, on the 17th of March, 1996, Anthem Rye won the championship after a 0-14 to 1-08 defeat of Wolf Tones in the All-Ireland final at Croke Park.
Now, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful game.
Wonderful.
It was.
Wonderful.
You know who's
their first ever championship title, Rob?
Led by the great Brian Feeney.
Yeah. Feeney is
same Feeney.
One of the best.
Same Feeney. Probably the same Feeny.
Well, when we talk about feeding, I think a lot of us are thinking about the television character, but there are so many memorable television characters from the long running program MASH. One of which is, in fact, this Kim, the wounded individual who arrived at camp one day. There's a blooper in this episode as well, where a model of the Bell UH-1 Iroquois hangs from the ceiling in Henry Blake's office. Now, this model helicopter first flew in 1956, over 2 years after the end of the Korean War. So, blunder.
Somebody definitely lost their job for that one. Let me guarantee it. So I got qualms with this plot line. So there's a wounded boy, and they basically kidnap him for a while. Is that? I mean, it all turns out right in the end, but they're like, okay, we're supposed to do this, but you're just so cute.
What are you going to do? Send him back to get picked up into the thrashes of war, potentially getting drafted or who knows what. I mean, even within the confines of the MASH camp, he ended up stumbling into a minefield. Can you imagine what a minefield the rest of that nation must have been for a small child? And that's why I believe I am choosing Kim from MASH as my selection to move on to the next round of
the ultimate tournament of everything.
Okay, you can think that, but their poor supervision allowed him to wander off into a minefield. It wasn't just like he did it on his own. They were supposed to be watching the poor kid. And that's why I think if I have to pick one that's better, I gotta go with the hurling championships.
Well, you can do so, but you'd be wrong. Nevertheless, we find ourselves at an impasse. So, Rob, how should we handle that this evening?
Everyone knows that to end tiebreakers, we will actually be spinning plates in our respective living rooms. And the first one to run out of plates is the loser. Now, I know you have a bunch of paper plates over there in Seattle, and I actually have a few glass ones left after the incident. So I think I'm going to be the winner.
Oh no, I have all these paper plates, but Rob, I forgot to do the dishes. So would you mind if we just picked a number between 1 and 10,000?
I guess that's fine. I guess we can pick a number between 1 and 10,000. I think I'm going to have to go with the number 1,996.
1,196. Beautiful number, lovely number, enchanting number. The number I'm going to have to go with, as every good MASH fan, I believe, would, is the good old number 4077. For the 4077th, what was it, regiment or something or other? So yeah, 4077. Let's draw that random integer.
Spoken like a true fan. And our number is 7,848, making this episode of MASH the winner in what is our tournament
of
the ultimate tournament of everything.
That one was close, way closer than I thought it would be.
Well, you should see the episode. It is dramatic. Speaking of drama, let's continue to round 2.
It's time for round 2.
In round 2, we have Harry Tapping, who's actually a person, against Shnaim O'Hazen, a television show.
Wonderful names. They both sound like wizards to me. Let's see which one's performance in this round is going to be wizard, and learn a little bit more about them.
Now, Harry Tapping, if the picture is to be believed, is more ears than person, but he was a New Zealand cricketer who played 8 first-class matches for Auckland between 1950 and 1953, and that is about all we know.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know this individual here played 8 matches of cricket over a 3-year period, and yet is immortalized in history with a Wikipedia article. And so, what you're doing out there is significant as anybody else. So remember that, as there's really nothing else to remember, it seems, about Harry Tapping.
He was just significant enough. Now, his competitor, Shneim Ohazin, is Hebrew for two people holding, a television show broadcast on the Israeli educational television during the 80s that dealt with teaching the basic concept of the Talmud and Jewish heritage.
Oh, I see. Now, I would imagine that an American show made in the 80s called Two People Holding would be a little bit different. But see, the concept of this show was that Mr. Barr and Mr. Ovian meet to study Gemara, the Talmud, together. And it was incorporated in the past as part of the 7th grade curriculum in secondary yeshivas, or 9th grade curriculum in secular Hebrew speaking schools.
Now, that's interesting. So the Talmudic study is active, with negotiating in the Havruta, while viewing is passive. Now, the study of the Talmud is mostly textual, so television maybe not a great medium for this, but to overcome that problem, they created a series of dialogues between two participants, Bear and Orion, and the broadcast does not come in order to replace the study, but is used as a helping instrument along with a guide for teacher and paper assignments.
Oh, I see. It goes, deep. This is a layered thing. It's an onion to be bloomed. See, the names of the teachers on this show also hold a symbolic meaning. The names of both teachers, Baruch Bar and Orion, are an alliteration. Their last names put together compose the term Bar Orion, son, student of the Torah in Aramaic, or scholar in modern Hebrew.
I would love to watch one of these, but I do not speak the language, so, so curious,
Well,
but it wouldn't help me.
I don't think that trying to translate it into Harry Tapping would clarify the issue any further. Looking at the two, I think that I'm going to have to go with Shneim Hazin as my selection. It's more substantive, it's more beautiful, and you can check it out anytime you please.
I agree. I think we have a mutual pick for this round.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I think we move it on.
Harry Tapping just didn't bring anything to the table. But if you're ready to eat, then it's time for round 3.
It's time for round 3.
In round 3, we have Tiga Ann against David C. Woodman.
Ooh, I know nothing about either of these competitors. Frankly, when there's an infinite number of prospects, you can't get to them all. So let's all be surprised together in round 3.
Tigoan is a Gram Panchayat village in the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh.
Location. It is located 79 kilometers west of the district headquarters, Chhindwara, 8 kilometers from Pandherna, and 244 kilometers from the state capital, Bhopal.
Now, the wonderful part about location is I don't know any of those locations. Now, its economy is based mainly upon agricultural. They do have a post office, a primary school, a bank, several convents, and a high school.
We've got a population here, looks like 7,785. We have a number of houses. I'm not sure if that is our beloved households, but that is at 1,732. Literacy rate at 70%. That sounds pretty respectable. And 46.1% working population.
Now, you know who never did a day of work in his life? Probably not David C. Woodman, because he was a Canadian mariner, author, and Arctic researcher.
Yeah, he sounds like a hustler, a cold hustler. But this individual is known for his research on Franklin's lost expedition, having later participated in 9 expeditions to King William Island between 1992 and 2004, searching for relics, records, and the wrecks of the ships HMS Terror and HMS Erebus.
He grew up in Ontario, sailing and wreck diving on the Great Lakes. He studied as an undergraduate at the University of Toronto, and in his first year, he found a reprinted copy of Voyage of the Fox in the Arctic Seas by none other than Francis Leopold McClintock, which inspired him to search for the 2 shipwrecks and become the first person to dive at those sites.
So, do we have an adventurer in our midst?
Yeah, I think we have the Canadian Indiana Jones. Canadiana Jones.
Yeah. Man, going up into the Arctic, golly knows what's under that ice. Well, this individual may. He knows some anyways. Checked it out. Gosh. When you're a child and you think, man, I'm going to go and explore uncharted territories. About the only ones left are the ones on the top and the bottom. And he was definitely checking out exploring the Arctic.
Yeah, he gave talks about Inuit oral history and the Franklin expedition and is recognized as an authority on the subject. He started viewing any Inuit stories concerning white men as having a discoverable factual basis, which I guess hadn't happened before. And that led to the discovery of the Erebus in none other than Erebus Bay in 2014.
Yeah. There have been a lot of people living up there for a long, long time before any white men showed up. That's for certain. What's also for certain is that this location, Tigaon in Madhya Pradesh, it looks lovely. I wish we had photos of the terrain or something like that to tell us a little bit more. It's the 26th biggest village by area in the sub-district, but I don't think it's got what it takes to defeat our friend and explorer, David C. Woodman. What say you, Robert?
I think if I had to pick between a place to visit or a man to adventure with, I am picking the man to adventure with as my choice in this round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
That's a good choice.
It's the only right choice, Mike. It's the only right choice.
Well, Rob, you have 2 choices to make, for we are approaching round 4. Which one are you going to choose?
I think we all know which one I'm going to choose.
My round 4 is ready.
As I always say, werewolves before pizza rolls, Mike. Werewolves before pizza rolls.
That's right. I forgot about that t-shirt that you wear every single day.
It's like Superman, but it's not as cool, and I cannot fly. In round 4, we have Yersey against James Walkey.
Well, if you head out to the Yersey shore, you might run into an individual named James Walkey, maybe Jimmy Walkey. Let's see if any of that is at all appropriate in this round.
We're going to find out. So Yersey is a submarine volcano in Indonesia. It was listed as an active volcano on old sea charts at the location of the southern Banda Basin. And during a 1929 survey, The volcano was spotted at a depth of 3,800 meters along a ridge that stretches from Badatara into Gunanagapi Water. Oh.
Awesome. In a word, awesome. A submarine volcano. Okay, so this is a volcano underneath the water. And so that means that underneath the water, there's where the ground starts. And underneath that is a fiery inferno that could erupt at any moment. And that is Yersey. Speaking of erupting at any moment, let's talk about the venerable James Roland Walkey.
He was an amateur sportsman in the first half of the 20th century who later became an eminent Anglican chaplain.
So perhaps a bit less explosive, a bit more, calm, a man of the cloth, it would turn out.
Yeah, he studied at Plymouth College and Christ College in Cambridge. During his varsity years, he was awarded a blue for rugby. I don't know what that means. And after joining the British Army as a chaplain, was its 100-yard champion in 1906.
Wow, yeah, very successful. Also a future fencing champion at Uxbridge. Let's see, he had one son, 6 daughters, mentioned in dispatches during World War I, and at its conclusion, joined the fledgling Royal Air Force chaplaincy service.
He sounds like a man who did it all.
Now, you look at the course of his life, born into a military family. As we said before, explosive. However, it seems that throughout his life, he learned perhaps to be, more peace-seeking. What's never peace-seeking is a freaking volcano waiting underneath the ocean in Indonesia.
Now I have questions. So they're saying it was listed on old sea charts, but if it's 12,000 feet below the surface of the water, I don't think anyone from old sea times is listing it as active. So was it above ground and then sank? Do volcanoes float until they run out of all their magma? Someone needs to explain it to me because I don't understand.
Well, Rob, imagine that you're floating through the open ocean, absolutely stranded and without hope. The water is cold and you are afraid of sharks. You drift, though, over a portion of water that seems to be bubbling from underneath, and it's warm, and it's in fact probably hot and would burn you. And I don't know, though, 12,000 feet underneath, we're talking 3,800 meters. It's your calculation, but it'd probably be warm, nice and toasty. It might be something that would save you from perhaps hypothermia. I'm not sure. You'd paddle around, stick in that. I think that that's something to be remembered, and so noted.
You know what I love about that explanation?
Probably not a whole lot.
I love that it makes absolutely no sense, but I like that volcano, and I want to move it on as my choice in...
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Do you concur?
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't concur more. Yersey is Mizey.
Fantastic. Yersey is Mizey. You heard it here first, everybody. Yersey is Mizey.
Well, that was such a good one that we happened to stumble into. I'm grateful. And I'm also grateful for round 5.
Round 5.
In round 5, we have Skylab 2, the sequel, against Barry Grant.
Aha! We've got a fictional character versus something straight out of science fiction. Let's get right to it. Is art going to defeat life, or is it the other way around here in round 5?
Skylab 2 was the first crewed mission to Skylab. So it's not even a different lab. It's just what they called the first group of people to go to the lab, the first U.S. orbital space station. Mission was launched on an Apollo command and service module by a Saturn IB. That's a Roman numeral I don't understand. We'll figure that one out later. Rocket in 1973.
Okay, yeah. I mean, this is definitely a lot of times I say it's not rocket science. This is. The name Skylab 2 refers to the vehicle used for the mission. It established a 28-day record for human spaceflight duration. And furthermore, its crew were the first space station occupants ever to return safely to Earth.
Well, that's important because getting up there is only half the battle. I would argue that getting home is probably more important than getting to space.
No doubt, no doubt. There's some photos of these individuals during their time in space. I see here somebody blowing water droplets from a straw. Looks like it's expanding, like one of those old kind of like, what was it, those balloons that were attached to straws. I don't know, they sold them on TV. There's pictures here of the module. It looks very much like one of the old school things that fall through the sky, drop into the ocean, and be rescued by a bunch of boats for laud and heroism.
Now, for nearly a month, they made further repairs to the workshop, conducted medical experiments, gathered solar and earth science data, performed a total of 392 hours of experiments, tracked 2 minutes of a large solar flare, and returned with 29,000 pictures of the sun. You ever go to the zoo and you see an animal you like and you take like 400 pictures of it? Right? Now imagine doing that to the sun.
Yeah, I would probably go a little bit blind. But you know what? 29,000 pictures, you get them up into a line and you play that line really, really quickly, and you've got yourself, boom, television. And speaking of television, I think we should talk about our other contestant, Barry Grant, the fictional character from the British Channel 4 soap opera Brookside, played, of course, by Paul Usher.
The character debuted on screen during the first episode of Brookside, broadcast on November 2nd, 1982. Barry is one of the show's original characters and the only character to appear in the first and final episodes of the show.
Now, there's a lot here. It's probably too much to process. This was smelling of fan art at this point. But I can tell you that when the series begins, Barry is in his mid-20s and lives with his family, consisting of his mother, father, and two younger siblings. Prior to the series debut, Channel 4 publicly described Barry as a 23-year-old football fanatic and a carpenter on a building site with a reputation as a hard man.
We'll see how hard in a moment. In his early years, they portrayed a close friendship and double act between Barry and Terry Sullivan, and writers ended this when they created an affair between Barry and Terry's wife, Sue. Producers then turned Barry into a murderer, and he kills Sue and her young son by pushing them off a scaffolding. And in true British TV fashion, they play it out for the 1,000th episode as a whodunit, not a what did you do.
And this doesn't seem to be the only controversy. There was also what I see here listed as the dog threat controversy. Brookside's creator and producer, Phil Redmond, wanted the show to include dramatic and controversial content. He also wanted a news story to get the public talking about the show. So he made a conscious effort to transform Barry from a low-level crook to a full-time gangster. And one of the ways he chose to portray this descent into more serious crime was to have him kidnap a pet dog belonging to an amusement arcade operator who owed money for protection. Let's see. Sizzler forces Barry to threaten to decapitate the dog unless Ma Johnston pays the money.
British soap operas are really, really hardcore. Here in the U.S., we have like a "I'm your father" and a "he's in a coma," but we don't get like this.
Yeah, that's pretty. Now, I think this is definitely deserving of a martini to the face. What also might have been deserving of a martini was the successful completion of Skylab 2. Okay, so let's look at these here. We've got one show whose ratings were out of this world, but we've got another competitor who literally left the world. I am kind of thinking that the one that's going to get off the ground is the one that literally did Skylab 2. What say you?
Oh, I think that we have to go with Skylab 2 just because it didn't harm any animals and no people were killed in the making of that episode. I think spaceflight's very
Yep.
dangerous, so that probably somebody might have been injured or killed. I'm not exactly sure, but not intentionally and not like this jerk. So Skylab 2, you're definitely our choice to move on in.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Nice.
Way better than Barry Grant.
Yeah. I mean, what can one fictional character do against something that's, I mean, truly unbelievable? Humans out in space, like absolutely unconceivable. You know what else is hardly conceivable? Round 6.
Making a turn around the last curve. He comes around the last side, and there you have it. There is your winner, round 6.
In round 6, we have wrestling at the 2006 Asian Games, specifically the men's freestyle 60 kilogram against Indian cassava mosaic virus. Wow.
Yeah, we've got two things that are definitely aiming for a quick takedown. Let's see which one's going to score 2 points on the mat in this round of the Ultimate Tournament of Everything.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I can just tell you missed it. You wanted it back. There it is, just for you. Now, our first competitor, wrestling at the 2006 Asian Games. Now, the men's freestyle competition was held in Doha on the 13th of December, 2006 at the Aspire Hall 4.
Yes. Much better than 1, 2, or 3. This freestyle wrestling competition consisted of single elimination tournament with a repage used to determine the winner of 2 bronze medals. The 2 finalists faced off for gold and silver medals. Each wrestler who lost to one of the 2 finalists moved into the repage, culminating in a pair of bronze medals. And if that hasn't confused you enough, at the end, they did a coin flip or something. I don't know.
Each bout lasted up to 3 rounds, 2 minutes apiece. The wrestler who scored more points in each round was the winner of those rounds, and the bout finished when the wrestler had won 2 rounds and thus the match.
Oh, okay. So pretty much normal, a little bit different. Looks like it started with the preliminaries, went to the quarter, semi, this repage. I've never heard of anything like that, but it's a beautiful word. And it looks like in the end, our champion was Morad Mohammadi from Iran.
Probably one of those small villages we talk about all the time. Now, a repage is a practice in a series of competitions that allows participants who failed to meet qualifying standards to continue the next round, kind of like a wild card in football.
I see. You know what's quite a wild card in nature? Is our other contestant, the Indian cassava mosaic virus. This plant pathogen virus is of the family German Viridae. It affects cassave, Manihort esculenta in India and certain other countries, and it's considered to be an invasive species. Boy, howdy.
It
What
can be
is it?
spread from plant to plant by insects such as the whitefly, and it was first noticed in India in 1942.
Okay, so let's talk about the symptoms. The foliage of the plant exhibits the main symptoms: yellow or green mosaic patterns appearing on the leaves, thus the name. Mottling, contortion, misshapen leaves, distorted growing points. You'll see stunting of the plant, rosetting, dwarfing, and you'll even see reduction in the plant's root systems.
Now the disease, which is very helpfully abbreviated as ICMV, is not transmissible by seed, but cassava seedlings are mainly planted by stem cuttings, and those, unfortunately, are ultimately infected.
I see. When convenience takes over convention, you can end up in trouble. Another place you could end up in trouble is on the mat at the wrestling at the 2006 Asian Games, specifically the men's freestyle 60 kilogram. Boy, howdy! We've got freestyle, Greco-Roman, and there were women competing at this competition as well. So it was a big event. Everyone was there having a great time, especially the winners. Most of the people didn't have a good time, but you know what? No one has a good time with
Plant viruses?
plant viruses. Huh? What are they good for? I assume within the deep mosaic that is this planet, they probably do serve some function. But I believe that I'm going to be choosing wrestling at the 2006 Asian Games, specifically the men's freestyle 60 kilograms. My selection to move on to the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I think that's a great pick. It's such a good pick. I think we need to play that one more time.
The ultimate tournament of everything.
Yeah. Yep. Pinned him.
Moving on to the next round, but not this next round. This next round is 7.
Round 7. Round 7. Round 7. Round 7.
In round 7, we have the 2016 Sheldapridges. Good luck pronouncing that one. Against David Lowe.
Ah, yes, the English composer and music producer. Let's see which one of these two competitors is going to be able to produce a win in this round.
The 2006 Sheldapridges is a one-day semi-classic cycling race that took place in Belgium on April 6, 2016.
Now, unlike other spring classics such as Paris-Roubaix, the Shell de Prigi, it's a good one, is suited particularly for sprinters, such as defending champion Alexander Kristoff. The finish was changed from previous years with 2 extra corners added in the race finale in an attempt to improve safety, and the route is mostly flat, finished with 3 laps of a circuit in Schotten.
You know what I think of when I think of safe races? I think of lots of turns. So that's good. You know, nothing bad happens there, taking corners at high speed in what is primarily a sprinting event. Now, there were 22 teams that participated in this race. 13 were UCI World teams, and 9 were professional continental teams.
Okay, so we have individuals that make up teams, and all of those teams had to have had a team leader, and that's a structure that you'll find all over the world, including in the world of television and radio music composition. We've got David Harry Lowe, known for television, radio, commercials, and whatever idents are, best known for his extensive work on theme tunes for bulletins and programs for the BBC News.
He never received any formal music education, but that did not stop him. He began his early career in broadcasting and started part-time at BBC Radio Birmingham, while still a student at Ryland Bedford. He developed a strong interest in sound production and was keen to keep full-time work, pretty important. However, he was unsuccessful getting a position and then later freelanced until he attained a permanent post as location sound recordist.
Now, it was during this time that he became interested in the relatively new area of electronic music and synthesizers. He borrowed a Krumar Trilogy synthesizer from a friend and created his first multi-track composition using 2 domestic cassette decks. And he later acquired one of the first affordable polyphonic synthesizers, a Roland Juno 6.
Now, he sounds like a cool cat, and he was actually in a band called Cool Fish that found a reasonable amount of success, but the band did not continue because he liked producing for studios better than live music.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. You're on stage every night. You got to tour around. Who wouldn't rather just be able to tune in and watch on the tube their tunes being shown to the entire world? So he created one of his most famous composition, the current BBC News theme for the BBC News. He's done a bunch for television, festivals, events. He's definitely... Let me just do it in the studio, and you can enjoy it at home in the comfort of wherever you choose to be.
Now, the great part about competing against a sprinter is the race is over quickly, but unfortunately for the sprinter, I think the race is the loser, and this man is the winner.
Yep, it's kind of a tortoise and the hare type of situation. The race, they got right out there. But what we've learned about David Lowe is that he likes to stay in and do his work. And that is how he has found success in life. And now he has found success in this round. Oh,
The ultimate tournament of everything.
I can't wait to get me some round 8.
I say, would you by chance have any round 8?
Round 8!
In round 8, we have the red-eared firetail against Peter Sincotti.
A beautiful bird versus an individual with a beautiful voice. Let's see which one of these singers' tune is going to strike the right chord to move on to the next round of the ultimate tournament of everything.
The red-eared firetail is also known as the burin, a small finch-like species of bird. It occurs in dense wetland vegetation of the coastal and subcoastal regions in southwest Australia.
Yeah, its appearance is considered appealing with white spots, black barring, and the vivid crimson marks at the ear and upper tail. Red ear firetails are usually only glimpsed briefly, if at all, as they move rapidly and discreetly through their habitats.
Now, the red-eared firetail is definitely more of a lover than a fighter, and males and females bond in lifelong pairs that occupy a territory centered on their roosting and brooding nest site. Isn't that sweet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're family birds. They keep tight-knit communities and tight-knit lives, and that's probably part of why, they're rare in captivity, being neither recommended nor generally permitted, as they require expertise and a large specialized environment to maintain their secretive habits. However, the observations in avicultural literature have supported and contributed to the knowledge of its behavior.
I think I found my spirit animal. Despite their shyness toward other birds and people, they're known to be less so in venturing out to food, such as a bird feeder. How I understand you. How I understand you, the red-eared firetail. You know who I don't understand? Peter Cincotti, American singer and songwriter?
Well, let's see if we can shed a little light on it for you. Cincotti, born New York City, his father of Italian descent, in this small province in Italy, where he is an honorary citizen. He started playing a toy piano at the age of 3. High school, he performed at clubs throughout Manhattan, graduated Columbia University, and he won an award at the 2000 Montreux Jazz Festival for a rendition of Dizzy Gillespie's A Night in Tunisia.
Oh, I know where I recognize him from. He had a small role as the piano player in Spider-Man 2. That's it.
Is that the scene where Spider-Man comes in and he's all kind of like beat and sassy?
No, that's Spider-Man 3. We don't talk about Spider-Man 3.
We don't talk about Spider-Man 3. Apparently, I don't know these movies well enough. And I also don't know the music of Peter Cincotti really at all. I see here he's contributed to a number of productions, concerts. He appeared in a small role in the 2004 film Beyond the Sea about Bobby Darin. Very fun film. He's got 5 albums.
5 albums, and I haven't heard of a single one. Now, he is working on a highly anticipated upcoming album, 88 Keys and Me, which honors some of our most influential piano men and women, such as everyone knows Scott Joplin, and everyone knows our most famous one, who I wouldn't actually qualify as famous for piano, Lady Gaga.
Aha, I see. So we're talking about people with special voices, being able to make sounds, but this is not just a human thing. This can also be found in birds such as the red-eared firetail. And there are about 5 separate communication calls of this bird that have been reported. They have been classified in several ways. Now, the adult vocalization is distinguished as an identity call or an intimate nest call. You've got a nest site call and a contact or communication call, which has only been reported in captive birds.
Now, it's just such a pretty bird. Doesn't do well, like we said, in captivity. Now, they have been bred in captivity since 1938, which, okay, we know they don't do well, so stop doing that. Records of breeding in captivity are scarce because they don't do well in captivity. And a few successful programs include those in New South Wales, published by David Myers, who reared 7 young from 2 pairs in a television feature on Burke's Backyard. Cool.
Very cool. So cool that I think that this red-eared firetail is on fire. And I'd like to move it with its permission because I know that it's shy into the next round of
The ultimate tournament of everything.
As I said, it's my spirit animal. It's shy and only ventures out for food. It is definitely my pick in this round. Absolutely. Red-eared firetail, you're moving on.
Woo!
You know what time it is.
My favorite time.
It's about time for round 9.
Round 9.
In round 9, we have StarCraft Remastered against Eichstatt.
Okay, StarCraft it had to be remastered. We're talking about a Take-Two, and Eichstatt. Who knows what could have preceded it? Let's see which one of these will be our victor. And moving on to the next round of the ultimate tournament of everything.
Well, let's start with Eichstatt because it's going to take about 3 seconds. It's a village in Brandenburg, Germany.
2.
The end.
1.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's the whole article.
And I want, before we go any further, I just want everyone to know that this is not to be confused with Eichstätt, Bavaria. Very different, very separate, completely unique location.
Also not to be confused with the Eichstätt meteorite of 1785. Different Wikipedia page. All we got is this one for this small village in Brandenburg, Germany. Let's go take a look. There we go. At its competitor, StarCraft Remastered.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of other Wikipedia articles, this definitely is one. And it's about a remastered edition of the 1998 real-time strategy video game StarCraft and its expansion Brood War, which was released on August 14th of 2017.
So what is StarCraft? Have you played StarCraft? It looks like aliens and space fighting. Is that it?
Yeah, I kind of stopped being able to play video games pretty much once I started trying to play video games. So I haven't caught up too well, and I didn't catch this one, but boy, howdy, it looks like it was probably fancy.
So apparently for gameplay, they updated graphics and sound. You can play it in 4K if you want. There's some social integration. You can pair your online account from the original game. That's pretty neat. With the modern account. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, all I'm really seeing here, okay, so I'm just going to use a little bit of deduction here. And you keep scrolling to let me know if I'm wrong here. But this is StarCraft. I'm seeing, some alien-looking monsters in this picture here by Blizzard Entertainment, and I believe they're the same ones that did World of Warcraft. So is this like some sort of, multiplayer online type of deal, but taking place in space?
That sounds about right to me. And apparently the game was pretty good. I see a lot of 8s and 9s for scores out of 10, not out of 100. That'd be bad. This game, like I said, apparently good.
Looks like it even so good. It got turned into a cartoon on June 8th, 2019 as part of the grand finals of the third season of the KSL. They announced that there was a graphics overhaul. The producers of multiple Blizzard-related parody animations were working on a StarCraft series.
There's definitely a lot here. It looks like something people like. It looks like something that's been going for a long time, hence the remaster. But I couldn't care less about it. And I think Eichstätt has some mystique that I just want to know more about.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, Rob. Two things that have been going on for a long time that we don't know much about and that we don't have emphatic feelings about either way. That pretty much defines this round. And I think that we have a solution for this very occasion.
What's that solution? Is this it?
The ultimate tournament junk every
No, that's not it.
No,
that's not it.
It's
oh,
not.
No, hang on. I have another button.
DJ.
I got another button.
Time for a tiebreaker.
And in the hopes that Rob doesn't press any other wrong buttons, I'm just going to tell you the truth. And we're going to select the number between 1 and 10,000. The closest will have their selection move on to the next round of the ultimate tournament of everything. Now, Rob, what is your number?
I'm going to go with the number 1,785.
Yep. It's a good number. It's good number. This came out in the year 2017, so I'm actually going to throw it down, flip it, and reverse it, and go with 7,102.
And our winner is, with the number of 625, the town of Eichstätt. You, my friend, are the winner for this round of...
The ultimate tournament junk everything.
now it's the right button.
Big time upsets, across the board this evening. We saw giants fall. We saw heroes be born. We saw stars shine. And we can't wait to see you here again for the next episode of the Ultimate Tournament of Everything.
The ultimate tournament of everything.